On February 14, 2025, the Catholic world received concerning news. Pope Francis, at 88 years old, was admitted to the Gemelli Hospital in Rome due to a polymicrobial respiratory infection. The Vatican confirmed that all the pontiff's commitments have been cancelled until Sunday, but the information released so far raises doubts about the severity of the situation. The Pope remains clinically stable and without fever, according to official reports. However, the need for adjustments in antibiotic therapy and the extension of hospitalization suggest a case more delicate than expected. The polymicrobial infection, characterized by the presence of different microorganisms, requires rigorous treatment, especially in a patient with a history of respiratory problems. Before we start the video, I want to extend a special invitation to you. If you enjoy content that delves into relevant topics and makes you reflect, subscribe to the channel now and activate the bell to not miss any updates. Here, you will find analyses, curiosities, and information that make all the difference. Leave your like and share this video with anyone else who is also interested in this topic. Now, let's get to what really matters. The Gemelli Hospital has already been the scene of other hospitalizations of the Pope. In 2021, he underwent intestinal surgery, and in 2023 he needed medical care to treat infectious bronchitis. Now, faced with a new health problem, uncertainty grows about his ability to continue leading the Catholic Church in the coming months. The Pope's absence has already caused changes within the Vatican. Important events such as the Jubilee audience on February 22 have been suspended, and the Sunday Mass will be conducted by Cardinal Rino Fisichella. This temporary transition raises questions about what might happen if the Pope is unable to fully resume his duties. While the global Catholic community mobilizes in prayer, speculations arise behind the scenes. Is the Vatican really revealing all the details about the pontiff's health? What else could be happening behind this sudden hospitalization? The situation of Pope Francis becomes even more concerning when we analyze the medical challenges he faces. Polymicrobial infections are complex, requiring highly specific treatment, and in an elderly patient with a history of respiratory problems, the risks increase considerably. The need for hospitalization and the complete suspension of his schedule indicate that the doctors opted for continuous monitoring, something that only occurs when there are serious concerns about future complications. The Vatican insists that the Pope's condition is under control, but the decisions made in recent days suggest a more delicate scenario. Canceling high-profile commitments, such as the Jubilee audience, reinforces concerns about his recovery capacity. For the first time in years, Francis will not be present at the Sunday Mass, an event that has always been a priority on his agenda. This raises a dilemma within the Catholic Church. If his health continues to deteriorate, who will assume his duties for an extended period? Cardinal Rino Fisichella has been assigned some emergency responsibilities, but if the Pope's absence extends, more definitive measures will need to be taken. The Vatican, however, avoids touching on this subject, which only fuels speculation about what is really happening behind the scenes. The lack of clear information also generates theories and distrust. In the past, similar situations were downplayed until the truth came to light. In 2023, for example, when Francisco was hospitalized to treat a lung infection, the severity of the situation was only revealed after trusted doctors leaked details about his real condition. Now the world awaits more concrete answers. The big question that hangs in the air is the Vatican hiding the true severity of Pope Francis's health? The hospitalization could be just a precaution, or is there something more happening behind the scenes? And if the pontiff is unable to resume his duties soon, how will the Church handle this transition? Over the years, Francisco has dealt with various health issues that have impacted his routine and commitments as the leader of the Catholic Church. From the removal of part of one of his lungs in his youth to recent hospitalizations for respiratory infections, his medical history shows a picture of increasing fragility. Although the Vatican is trying to minimize the impacts of his condition, the evidence suggests that his recovery may be more difficult than announced. The fact that he has canceled all commitments indefinitely indicates that the doctors are being extremely cautious and that the infection may require more time to be controlled than initially anticipated. The gradual loss of mobility has also become a worrying sign. The frequent use of the wheelchair and the difficulty in moving around show that his physical endurance is decreasing. The need for adjustments in antibiotic therapy, mentioned in official statements, reinforces the hypothesis that the initial treatment did not have the expected effect, which may mean that the Pope's body is responding more slowly than anticipated. If the recovery is prolonged, the Church will face a complex dilemma. Francisco's prolonged absence may lead to the need for a transition in leadership, even if temporary. The resignation of Pope Benedict XVI in 2013, for health reasons, set a precedent for this possibility. However, Francis has already stated on several occasions that he intends to remain in office until the end. But how long will his health allow him to continue leading the Church? Besides the religious implications, this situation sparks an intense debate both inside and outside the Vatican. After all, if the Pope is unable to fully resume his duties, who will make the most urgent decisions for the Catholic Church? Would the College of Cardinals begin to prepare for a possible conclave? These are questions that still do not have definitive answers. But with the worsening health condition of the Pope and his stay in the hospital, the uncertainty grows each day. The health of Pope Francis not only affects the routine of the Vatican, but also raises questions about the future of the leadership of the Catholic Church. At 88 years old, he was already showing signs of fragility before this hospitalization, and his prolonged absence could have significant implications for the management of ecclesiastical affairs. The decision to cancel all of the pontiff's commitments reinforces the seriousness of the situation. Important events, such as the Jubilee audience and the Sunday Mass, had to be reorganized so that other members of the high clergy could take over their duties. This highlights the need for adjustments in the administration of the Vatican while Francis recovers. Even with official statements affirming that his condition is stable, some medical choices indicate that the treatment requires rigorous monitoring. The prolonged use of antibiotics in an elderly patient, especially with a history of lung problems, requires continuous attention, as the risk of relapse or side effects is high. The lack of an exact forecast for his discharge also sparks speculation. If his recovery were completely under control, the Vatican could provide a more detailed schedule. However, the caution adopted in disclosing information suggests that there are still uncertainties about the progress of the treatment. The current situation highlights the vulnerability of a leader who occupies one of the most important roles in the religious world. Over the years, the Church had been preparing for a possible leadership transition, and Francisco's condition could accelerate this process. The impact of this hospitalization extends beyond the Vatican, reaching millions of faithful around the world. While many continue to pray for his recovery, the perception is growing that the Pope's health may require structural changes in the way the Catholic Church manages its leadership in the coming years. Fisichella, known for his role in evangelization and the organization of the 2025 Jubilee, now has the mission of conducting the ceremonies and audiences that were previously under the direct responsibility of the Pope. However, his temporary position does not signify a definitive transition of power. The Vatican emphasized that Francis remains in command, and that this is just a measure to ensure that the routine and activities of the Church continue without interruption. The prolonged absence of the Pope, however, raises questions about the pontiff's ability to continue leading the Church amid increasing physical limitations. Francisco had already shown signs of wear before this hospitalization, and his recovery may require a reassessment of his workload. This reignites speculation about a possible resignation, something that would not be unprecedented in the recent history of the papacy. Since the surprising abdication of Benedict XVI in 2013, the possibility of a pope resigning due to health issues has become more real. Francisco has already commented in previous interviews that he would not rule out this option if he felt he no longer had the strength to carry out his mission. However, he also stated that resignations should not become the norm, suggesting that he would only make that decision in extreme circumstances. Meanwhile, cardinals and ecclesiastical authorities are closely monitoring the situation. Behind the scenes, there is a need to prepare for any scenario, including the possibility of a papal succession if Francis is unable to fully resume his duties. For the Church, an unexpected transition process could trigger internal disputes and open space for different visions about the future of Catholicism. Despite the uncertainty, what is known so far is that Francisco remains the leader of the Church and that his direct collaborators are ensuring the continuity of activities. But as the days go by without a clear return date, expectations grow about what the next steps of the Vatican and the Pontiff himself will be. The Pope's recovery may mean just a brief absence, or it could mark the beginning of a larger transition within the Catholic Church. Meanwhile, faithful around the world continue to closely follow and pray, awaiting the next chapters of this story. The prolonged absence of Pope Francis and the lack of details about his recovery continue to generate discussions both inside and outside the Vatican. While official information assures that he is stable, the need for adjustments in treatment indicates that his recovery may take longer than expected. With the cancellation of commitments and the delegation of duties to other members of the high clergy, the Church is going through a delicate moment of transition. The choice of Cardinal Rino Fisichella to take on important events demonstrates that the Vatican is already organizing itself to ensure that its activities are not interrupted. Behind the scenes, speculation about the future of the Pontiff is growing. His weakened health in recent years has raised questions about his ability to continue leading a global institution. The recent history of hospitalizations and the need for constant medical monitoring reinforce the concern that his condition may impact the stability of the Church in the coming months. Francisco has always advocated for an active papacy, participating in meetings, trips, and daily commitments. However, the reality imposed by his health may require a change in approach. Even if his recovery is successful, the way he will exercise his leadership from now on may be different. The Vatican remains cautious in dealing with these uncertainties, avoiding hasty statements about the future of the Pope. At the same time, cardinals and religious leaders are beginning to prepare for different scenarios. If Francisco's health continues to present challenges, the Church may face a period of important decisions that will define its coming years. The impact of this moment is already being felt globally. Faithful around the world are following the news with apprehension. Religious leaders are sending messages of support, and governments are expressing solidarity. The Pope's recovery and the developments of this situation will shape the future of the Catholic Church in a period of great challenges and transformations. The weakened health of Pope Francis places the Catholic Church in a delicate moment. At 88 years old, facing a complex infectious condition, his ability to continue exercising leadership actively may be being tested more than ever. The Vatican's silence on specific details reinforces the feeling that the situation may be more serious than officially disclosed. History shows that in moments like this, the Holy See tends to strictly control information, downplaying the severity of the facts until it is impossible to hide the reality. In the past, the deterioration of the health of popes like John Paul II and Benedict XVI was only fully acknowledged when their conditions were already irreversible. Now, with Francis hospitalized, with no clear discharge date and no images released, the situation is causing concern and speculation. The prolonged absence of the Pope raises questions about the governance of the Church in the coming months. Without his active presence, decisions of great impact may be delayed or even change direction. The fact that cardinals are already taking on key roles suggests that the Vatican may be preparing for a period of transition, even if discreetly. Pope Francis has always advocated for a church closer to the people, but his forced absence may change the dynamics of his pontificate. Even if he returns to his duties, it is possible that his involvement in church matters will be reduced, with more responsibilities delegated to his direct aides. If the Pope's health continues to be fragile, the Church will have to face an inevitable dilemma. Will it be possible to keep Francis in command, even with evident physical limitations? Or will it be necessary to initiate a succession process to ensure the stability of the institution? The Vatican, as always, remains cautious regarding these matters, but the signs of change are becoming increasingly evident. While the world closely follows the developments of this situation, faithful and religious leaders continue to pray, hoping that Francisco can recover and continue guiding the Church. The future, however, remains uncertain, and what happens in the coming days could define the course of the papacy and the very power structure within the Holy See. Since his election in 2013, Francis has led significant changes in the Church, promoting greater financial transparency, reaching out to minorities, and revising traditional stances. His departure, whether temporary or permanent, could directly impact these reforms, depending on who takes over in the future. If the Pope is unable to fully resume his duties, two possibilities gain strength. The first is that he remains in office, but with reduced powers, delegating a large part of his responsibilities to trusted cardinals, such as Rino Fisichella or Pietro Parolin. The second, more drastic option would be a resignation, as happened with Benedict XVI, if Francis acknowledges that he no longer has the physical capacity to lead. Behind the scenes at the Vatican, there is speculation that a transition may already be discreetly planned. Some cardinals are beginning to stand out as possible successors, and the College of Cardinals, responsible for electing a new pope, is closely observing every move. If Francis does not fully recover, the convocation of a conclave may occur sooner than expected. The Catholic Church has always handled leadership changes with caution, but the possibility of a new transition could create internal divisions between progressive and conservative sectors. What is at stake is not just the succession of Francis, but the future of the Church itself. The impact of his prolonged absence could redefine the course of the Vatican in the coming years. Meanwhile, the world's attention remains focused on the developments of this situation, and the expectation regarding the Pope's next steps grows each day. If you like this content and want to follow more analyses and relevant news, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Don't forget to leave your comment and share this video so that more people can understand the importance of this moment.